Hello everyone, my name is Vernon Dudward and I come from the communities of Kitsum Kalim and the Holams within the Jimshan Nation. My traditional name that I wear is Ganatsan Gibao, that translates into wolf's shadow. And that name was bestowed upon me in the year of 2006. Um, I received that name from my grandmother. The name that I have was fitted for me because I was always walking in the footsteps of my grandmother and her brothers. I was their shadow and followed them places. And today I'm going to be talking about the indigenous oral traditions, and I was specifically going to talk about the rites of passage that we have and that we follow within the Jimshan Nation. And in particular, it will be the protocol for receiving your name, your traditional Jimshan name. I received my name when I was 2 weeks old. My great grandmother Vera Henry and her children were putting up a feast in Kitsum Kalim, and I was only 2 weeks old, and my mom gifted me to be with my dad in our traditional ways, because Jimshan, we're a matrilineal society and we always follow under our mother. So at birth, I was with one of the tribes in the Holams, the Gitendo in particular, and the crest that my mom is Gisbadwada in English. It's Kilawell or Blackfish, Orca, whatever the personal preference is to call that. But anyways, I'm thankful my mom gifted me to stand and be with my dad and my paternal side of the family and their house and in their clan, the Lachkibu, the house of Wadiwai. My great grandmother was standing up her sons to take on the Samoyed names. And it was, I call it rekindling of the fire. The names were dormant for many years. And I always express them. I'm thankful for what my mom did, because I wouldn't be where I am today, spiritually. And because my mom's side of the family, they're very dormant with their culture and their tribe in particular and their house. The Gitendo today is a very strong tribe, but the house in particular where they come from, they're not active. But anyways, that the part of the rites of passage when you receive your first name, it's called your baby name. So the first name that I received from my great grandmother was Jumaskam Gibao, and that translates into Little White Wolf. And I had the privilege to wear that name for 10 years. And in 2006, my grandmother she part of the rites of passage, you receive your growing name, and with the growing name, you wear that name for the rest of your life, unless you move up further in the hereditary system to be a Samoyed or Siganamhana, which is matriarch for a female. Yeah, so the name I have is that I received in 2006 is Ganatsan Gibao. And that's my growing name, and I still wear the same name that I am today. And one more parts of the rites of passage that you have after you receive your growing name is you get your name strengthened one time in your lifetime that you have. And yeah, so in 2019, I had my name strengthened, and at the same time, another part of rites of passage is when you move up in the hereditary system. My grandmother and her brothers came to an agreement to make me a spokesman for the House of Wadiwai. So Galamalech is what I am called. And I'm not the only one. Galamalech speaks for the Samoyed, in particular when they share what the message that they have to convey to the public. So I do that for my grandmother and her brothers for when they need to relay a message, or I go and represent our house, our traditional house, on their behalf. And yeah, that's just part of our oral traditions within the Jimshan Nation. And for those who are fortunate enough, if they move up one more time in the hereditary system, you would become an example. If I was a nephew for actually my dad, I'll use my father as an example. My father is one of the oldest nephews for my grandfather, Samoyed Watiwai, and my dad is now appointed to be a successor. So when my grandfather, Samoyed Watiwai, when it comes time for end of his life, the successor, the name will be removed and passed on to my dad. And that's a big job. It's a big role to take. So we're working on working with my dad and the other successors that will be taking on the big names. Just as I mentioned, it's a big role. You have to look after everyone and be there and watch how you are in the public settings and carry yourself in a positive manner. And that's something I'm working on personally with my father, getting him out there in the community and being with my grandmother, his mom, and letting the community know who he is, where he comes from, because he's been out of the public eye and never went to any events. And now it's time for that to change. And he's accepted what he needs to do, and he knows what he needs to do. It's just part of our oral traditions. Just like I was groomed and fitted to be what I am today, the Galamali spokesman, because I watched how I was. I was aware of my surroundings and watched what I said in the community and wasn't out of place. I was always, I guess you could say, very formal everywhere I went. The number one thing we were taught is respect, so I was respectful no matter where I went, and supportive of others, whether it may be within our own community or our sister community of Kitsalas. Always being there for them through the good times and the bad. And even went to other communities that surround the Jimshan Nation. I traveled to the Nishka Nation, Giksan, and supported both of them during their good and bad times. And represented the House of Wadiwai and spoke on behalf of someone like Watiwai or my grandmother. As I mentioned, she's our matriarch, Siganam Hana Spisun. Represented them very well in no matter where I went. And that's why I was fitted to become with a higher ranking, Galamali spokesman. Yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Thank you.